Um, this is gonna be a little bit of a lengthy lesson. I'm just going as I said I was gonna do. Uh, whoop, not going, line by line, and you know, here a little, there a little type thing.
Hey,
And
bro.
my name is Ori, Aki Ori. I'll be giving the lesson today, and we're gonna backtrack a little bit because I don't know, maybe we just didn't cover. Because I try to make sure we hit every chapter and in every book, and I think we probably might have missed like a few verses. So we're gonna hit those first with the fall, and then we're gonna proceed on to the flood.
Hey, brother.
Yeah.
Real quick. I think you have the presenter screen up versus the display screen. I think
Oh.
what you're sharing right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Wait,
whichever one that you're sharing, make that. And you may have to stop sharing and pick the right monitor that's actually doing the presentation. And if not, then it is what it is.
option. Okay, and then I'm gonna share again. I'm gonna say there. See what happens to that. And then we're gonna go to here. Now, do you see the presentation now, or is it still me?
We see all of the slides versus
Oh,
just that. But yeah, if it's like that, then
that's it.
you're in you're in the spaceship with all the monitors. You know what I mean?
Okay, so let me. I'll just stop sharing. Because like you can still share your screen and stop sharing your camera, right? I think so.
Uh, I never tried that.
And then I'm gonna do share. Yeah. Now can you see?
That's what's gonna have to work. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna have to work.
Background, no. Um,
You have a MacBook or a PC?
I got a PC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I,
I was gearing up too. I was getting ready.
I forgot what that's supposed to be because I have a MacBook and I know it's a little bit different.
Uh,
Well, how do you switch like
Well, it says when you go to a slideshow,
yeah.
it tells you, what type of screen will you can, you know, you should be able to see all this, but we shouldn't.
Okay.
and even when the last one that you had shown, or like that was kind of like the first one, they have a place called display settings up there, and I wonder what that does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that might be it.
There. Is that it?
Yeah,
There you
that's it. That's it. I
Okay,
didn't
good.
know. I never been in the heat of the moment. I never been like seen something like that. You know what I mean? Now we're actually doing it, so it is what it
Yeah.
is. But anyway,
I know the PC and the MacBook is different. I just can't remember how. Been so long since I had a PC.
All right. So yeah, good thing I'm tech savvy. So now hopefully you guys can see all the answers. But yep, it's me, Aki Ori, for all those who are gonna be watching this after it's been recorded. Today we're gonna cover the fall and the flood. They really are hand in hand. It starts off pretty good at the very beginning in Genesis, and it just gets progressively tougher as the book goes on. But here we go. All right, let's go ahead and get our motto out the way. It is as you see on the screen, but 1, 2, 3. We are learning to walk through obedience to the Torah together, building in Ahava and Anba, from the Ab to the Yalad, in Ruach Yeshua ben Yahuwah. All right. And pretty much, as the title says, it's all uphill from here. And the first question we have is, at what point are the first punishments of humanity given? And if somebody has an idea, you can give a quick little answer and then we'll move on to the scriptural answer. If somebody wants to chime in, you have to let me know. Can somebody else let me know, like if somebody has a question? Because right now my screen is in full presentation mode, so I can't see if somebody has like their hand up or anything.
I got you. Okay.
Does anybody have a possible answer?
In the garden?
Yeah, you're correct. And then, let's see. Does somebody want to go ahead and get Genesis chapter 3, 9 through 24? This, like I said, this will be a little bit of a backtrack before we get to chapter 6, where we want to progress to the flood. But whoever wants to get it, just let me know, and then you'll start the reading.
I can do it.
I'm there. Okay, go right ahead, Ima Sean.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm just playing with you. And Yahuwah Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, Where are you? And he said, I hear a voice in the garden. And I heard a voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded you that you should not eat? And the man said, The woman whom you gave me, she gave me the tree. She gave of me the tree, and I did eat. And Yahuwah Elohim said unto the woman, What is it that you have done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And Yahuwah Elohim said unto the serpent, Because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and dust shall you eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow, and your conception in sorrow you shall bring forth children. And your desire shall be to your man, and he shall rule over you. And unto Adam he said, Because you have hearkened unto the voice of your woman, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, You shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow shall you eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and you shall eat of the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return unto the ground. For out of it you were you taken, for dust you are, and unto dust shall you return. And Adam called his woman's name Shua, because she was the mother of all living. Unto Adam also and to his woman did Yahuwah Elohim make coats of skin and clothe them. And Yahuwah Elohim said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life, and to eat, and live forever. Therefore Yahuwah Elohim sent him forth from the garden to till the ground. To till from even Eden, to till the ground from whence he was taken. And he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim and the flaming sword, which turned every way to guard the way of the tree of life.
All right. So as you can see there, the first punishments were as listed. The ground would be a lot more difficult to till. And things like childbirth would become a pain. And and death was upon us. And it seemed like a punishment at the time when after Adam ate of the tree, that he would not be allowed to eat of the tree of eternal life. Well, that was basically to prevent us from being locked in sin forever. That's why Adam had to be excommunicated. Because if he'd have ate from that tree, he would have been locked in sin forever. And possibly it would have been impossible for Mashiach to later on come down into the line of man and redeem us. So it was a harsh punishment, but it was necessary because of Adam's disobedience. And it's just a reminder that one, do what the Father says, and two, be ready to embrace the suck, in your rebellion once that judgment has come down. So let's go on to the next slide or the next question.
Can I make a quick statement?
Go right ahead.
There's also the first covering of sin, to covering our nakedness, was the animal skins. Of course, the animals had to die, to just cover our sins.
That was a very good point. Like, yeah, even once that point of sin, even though the initial sin was not, it did not bring on death per se, right? That initial act of eating from the tree they weren't supposed to did not cause anyone to die immediately. Eventually, that let the door in to be redeemed somewhat in that moment. Death had to take place, for their covering.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was a lamb. We don't know. I know.
Don't know. But since then, all creation has suffered.
Yeah.
We see now the animals have suffered. The soil, the water, the air has suffered. Everything has suffered from that.
That's also interesting what Amaziah said. I didn't even think about it, but it likely probably could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been. Could have been.
All right. Now, I know this is something. Do we got any Yaladim listening? Anybody that's not driving yet? Because I know they may or may not know the answer to this question and where to go get it.
So is this answer only for the Yaladim to answer?
Answer. I just, stuff like this is interesting because I know sometimes with Yaladim, you think, same Torah stuff again, yada, yada, yada. Not realizing that there's definitely a bunch of mystery and intrigue in these first 5 books.
Okay.
But if somebody else has it, because I know we probably don't have too many of them listening because, a few of them are just, still in diapers and a few might be at work, so.
Right.
But
Well, may I answer the question?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I don't know if this is the actual answer that you're looking for, but how many Enochs are there? From what I understand, there's 2, but that's because there's a line of Cain and there's a line of Seth, and it mirrors.
Ding, 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 ding. Give Ema a Fat Boy ice cream sandwich. That is what? Cookies and cream. Yeah, you're correct. Correct, Sharman, you are very correct. And we're gonna go ahead and get it at Genesis chapter 4, verses 16 all the way to chapter 5, verse 18. Now,
I'll go
it's
ahead and get
because
it.
it's kind of long, we can kind of like, cut it off at a halfway point and let somebody else pick up if they want to. All right.
I'll get it. You just tell me where to stop.
All right. Go ahead and start at 16. I'll tell you where to stop.
All right. Better shoot for 16. I'm reading out the KJV, y'all. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. 16. Okay, yeah. And Cain knew his wife. She conceived and bare Enoch, and he builded a city and called the name of that city after the name of his son, Enoch. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehulalel, and Mehuel begat Methuselah, and Methuselah begat Lamech. And Lamech took unto him two wives. The name of the one was Adah, and the name of the other one was Zillah. And Adah bore Jabal, and he was the father of such as dwell in the tents, and of such as have cattle. And his brother name was Jabal. He was the father of all such as handled the harp and organ. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. And Lamech said unto his wives, Adah and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech. Hearken unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. And if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son, and called his name Seth. For God said, she hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord, or Yahuwah.
All right. So you see that there seems to be not just only but two Enochs, which we'll eventually get to the second one, but at this point, I guess, from what I'm understanding, is that all of this tragedy had happened after Cain had been cast out, and somebody ended up killing, from my understanding, did they kill Cain? I'm guessing, right? They killed Cain? Yeah. And Tubal-Cain, the instructor of artificer, it shall be avenged. So, okay, so somebody killed Cain? That's what I'm thinking. Because and maybe I'm getting confused because I think people say that maybe Cain is still alive, but then here it says somebody killed Cain, and it was a curse that was going to be 70 and times sevenfold after it took place. And so, yeah, shall be avenged, and then truly makes it, yeah. And so here we just see an arising of the extended curse that was placed upon Cain's bloodline that would, eventually come to permeate throughout the rest of the world as we progress onto the flood. And let's go ahead and go to chapter 5, and then can somebody get 1 through 18?
I can read.
Okay, who said they wanted to get it?
I said I. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Robert. You go ahead, Robert. Go ahead.
Okay. Genesis chapter 5, 1 through 18. And I'm reading out of the King James Bible. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him. Male and female created he them. and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. And the days of Adam, after he had begotten Seth, were 800 years, and he begotten a son and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years and begot Enos. And Seth lived after he begot Enos 807 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years and begot Canaan. And Enos lived after he begot Canaan 815 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, he died. And Canaan lived 70 years and begot Malahali.
Hallel.
Thank you. And Canaan lived after he begotten Mahalaleli 840 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Maul lived 60 and 50 years and begot Jared. And Maul lived after he begot Jared 830 years and begot sons and daughters. And the days of Maul were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years, and he begot Enoch. That's verse 18.
All right. And so after that, we see that after the point of Cain and his bloodline have children, they get up to the point of Enoch. He names the city after his son Enoch. But then Seth, which is another son of Adam, actually comes from Adam's bloodline, is eventually he bears him Enoch. He has a son and bears that has the name of Enoch, which is the Enoch we know of that writes the first book of Enoch, that describes how the Watchers beseeched him so that he could talk to Yahuwah on their behalf after they had betrayed Yahuwah and went down and started laying with the daughters of men. So this is the Enoch right here that is the righteous one, the one that eventually will be carried away without having to die into heaven. So, and let's go on to the next question. How many years did Enoch live on the earth? It's okay if somebody reads ahead and gives the answer, or at least can say the scripture destination, the address, and then we'll go ahead and read it to confirm it. All right. And
Like y'all just now said, it's a little further up. If somebody want to grab it.
if nobody knows, we'll go ahead and give the answer to you. It's Genesis 5:19 through 24. Let's see, I'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and get this one real quick. And Jared lived after he begot Enoch 800 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 365 years and begat Methuselah. And Enoch walked with Elohim after he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with Elohim, and he was not, for Elohim took him. So took him means he basically scooped him up and brought him up into the third heaven. And then that's where, when you read the first book of Enoch, is where you get the accounts of what he saw, how he described how all the elements work according to the spiritual realm, how the ends of the earth and the heavens look, and some more terrible places of Tartarus or Sheol that the fallen angels were bound in, namely the Watchers, for their rebellion. Next question. What is the longest a human has ever lived? I would like to have a Yaladim answer this one if they can, if they think they know it. Because we've already read off some amazing numbers for the life of a human, but those still were not quite the pinnacle of what we, would be allowed to see.
I like how you said that too, because the more seasoned people on here will say it like that. They used to have an old school saying, and I know they know. So
yeah. Well, yeah, we already know.
but for the youngsters, I know that
old heads know. We already know.
it was embedded in our isms.
Yeah, that's one of our isms. See, do we got a Texas or a Mac? Are they even up? Or,
Yep. What is answer the question, Matt? Who will say it again?
1,100 years.
Who was
say it again.
1,100 years.
Close, but incorrect. Go ahead and read chapter 5, 25 through 27, so you know the right answer.
He's getting it.
See, Amaria knows
it.
Yeah, she said the syllables, at least the first time. It's like, what? Or was that Enoch? The spirit was speaking through.
When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he became the father of Lamech. And he became the father of Lamech. Methuselah lived 182 years. No, 782 years. And had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Methuselah lived in a total of 969 years, and then he died.
There you go. 969. So what, 21 years before you reach 1,000? And we know that from, I forget which book, is it Enoch or is it like Jubilee or something? Where it's Enoch, where he said one day in heaven is 1,000 years or something like that. So no one has ever broken the barrier, no human anyway, has ever broken the barrier of living 1,000 years. But then, a lot of those vampire movies and stuff, you get those beings saying that they've lived, several millennia. So that lets you know that they're definitely not human. And then, so here we go with some more astounding numbers. Who was the father of Noah and how long did he live? Oh, and if you have an idea, it's still in Genesis. So, if you want to read ahead a little bit or try to recall from memory, anybody, it doesn't have to be the Yaladim.
I think it's Lamech.
Correct. Does anybody want to read the next passage? It's only four verses.
I'll read it.
Go right ahead, Ema Vicky.
I'm reading from the ESV. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he fathered a son and called his name Noah, saying, out of the ground that Yahuwah has cursed, this one shall bring us relief from our work and from the painful toil of our hands. Lamech lived after he fathered Noah 595 years and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died.
All right. Now that's interesting that right before you have Noah, who was basically literally chosen to carry on the pure genetic line of humanity, that his father would live exactly 777, you know, casino numbers. You know, Yahuwah has something about that number that he, I guess, like what, 7 is the number of completion, you know, according to like some historians, I guess. Let's see. And then let's go to the next question. What type of wood was the ark made of? Can somebody just, you know, you can blurt it out. And then
Is
we'll
it
go.
gopher wood?
Correct. Ema, let's go ahead. We're going to get all of chapter 6. Chapter 6 is just what, like 20, I think what, 26 or 22 verses. So just all of Genesis chapter 6. And then we can split it up. If somebody wants to read a little bit, maybe like read like 10, and then somebody else can get the last 10 or 11.
I'll read it if y'all don't mind hearing me again.
Go right ahead, Ema. You go right ahead.
Genesis chapter 6 from the ESV. When man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of Elohim saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. Then Yahuwah said, my ruach shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh. His days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of Elohim came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. They were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. Yahuwah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intention of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
Ema, can you pause real quick?
Sure.
I just want to give just a quick tidbit for those who may be new listeners when they eventually come upon this video after we post it, is that if you want some historical confirmation, you know, maybe from another civilization, the movie and the ancient writings of the Clash of the Titans, that is this scripture right here, where it talks about the men of renown. Like, so in ancient Greece and Rome, you hear the names Hercules and Hera, and I forget what some other names, like Zeus and all them. Well, right here, Genesis 6 is confirming, well, really, that interpretation of history is confirming Genesis 6, that because of the meddling of fallen angels, you get these so-called, basically, ancient superheroes who can do great feats and, you know, beat great animals and end up creating great monstrosities that later on in the flood will be wiped out. But go right ahead, Ema, pick back up. You just read 5, so you're on 6.
Okay. And Yahuwah regretted that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. So Yahuwah said, I will blot out man, whom I have created from the face of the land, man and animals and creeping things and birds of the heavens. For I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of Yahuwah. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with Elohim. And Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in Elohim's sight, and the earth was filled with violence.
All
And
right, can you pause right there, Ima? So
Okay.
I just want to give a quick example again of the earth being filled with violence. It wasn't only that, violence was being committed amongst men or Nephilim against humanity. It was the animals as well. And for some that may not know this, there are accounts in every culture on every continent of what are called dragons. And these dragons are byproduct, the real vicious ones anyway, are byproduct of these Nephilim messing around with the genetic genome of the animals that Yahuwah created. So now you do have instances of what you would call docile dragons, like something like a triceratops or a brontosaurus or things of that nature. And you can read about those in the book of Job, chapters 40 and 41, which we'll eventually get to. But that's just some little tidbits for those that may not know that yes, dinosaurs are in the Bible, but they're referred to as dragons because the word dragon doesn't come about until like the 1500s. Before that point in history, every culture called them the word, not the word dragon, the word dinosaur doesn't come about until like 1569 or something like that, or 1503, one of those. I know it's in the 1500s, but before that point in the history, every culture, no matter if they're Hebrew, Greek, Hindu, Ammonite, Moabite, whoever, they all called what they saw at that time in their region dragons. And some of these dragons, like I said, as mentioned in the scripture, were violent. And that violence is a byproduct of the genetic tampering. And like specifically, just an example, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the one that has been in tons of dinosaur movies and is considered the biggest and baddest of them all, even though in actuality it's not, because nothing can mess with a brontosaurus. They changed the name recently in science. They don't call it a brontosaurus no more, but it's the biggest dragon that is known to man. It's the one with a really long neck and a really long tail and really stout legs. That is actually the one that Yahuwah created because it just eats plants. It's a docile dragon. It was created basically because Yahuwah wanted it to be created and for his amusement and to show his mighty power. But the ones that are the more violent types that would try to eat in everything of meat, those were byproducts of the fallen angels. And considering you can see the deformity in the T-Rex with the small arms, that's not something that Yahuwah usually does. When he makes a predator, like a lion, it's usually proportional for what it's tasked to do in nature. But
May I ask you a question? What did you say that the long neck was called?
the brontosaurus or brachiosaurus, you seen like that first,
Right. But I
Jurassic
think in the
Park movie,
Bible it's called the behemoth.
Behemoth. Yeah. And
Great
Leviathan as well. Leviathan is another term.
Leviathan. Isn't Leviathan the one that comes out of the water?
Yes.
And then Behemoth is the one that was on land, but Behemoth was destroyed.
Right.
And Leviathan is yet to come out of the water. And I don't know if some of you have read about people seeing strange things in the water, in the ocean. And the strange thing that they're seeing, two things that are very, I think, were mentionable, was that whatever they saw was moving. And then they've seen killer whales. Killer whales now. Killer whales, they pretty, on the badness scale, they don't fear too much.
Nah, like they don't even feel great whites.
Yeah.
Nah.
They've seen them, the reports of them like hauling butt to the shore. I'm talking, because it seems as if they were running from something. And this is not one or two. It's like tens of, 10 in the tens,
Wow.
like 20, 30 of them, just going as fast as they could to the shore to get to shallow water. And the question was, what are they running from? Since they don't run from stuff. But it seems the only explanation they had for them to come that close to shore at that greater speed was they had to be running from something. So these are the days that we look for those things. He said Leviathan will come out of the water again. So those things, the mysteries of the word that we have been just kind of like for the past several hundred years, just kind of like ignoring, just glossing over, have great significance to the end time. So I don't want to see Leviathan, I'm telling you. I don't want to see it. But according to scripture, we'll raise up Leviathan again.
And from what I understand, the Leviathan is something that is going to feed others. I don't know if anybody's read that in I can't even think what book it is, but the Leviathan is something that they're that is supposed to be raised up. I'll have to find it because I say a lot of things. I did a lot of studies. You've read it?
It's been a while since I've read it.
Right. And it's going to be something that feeds everybody. So I've read it, and I just can't remember if it was the book of Leviathan, the book of Enoch, or if it was the book of Lamech. I'm just not sure which book I read it in, but that's something that I definitely read a long time ago.
I think it's in the book of Psalms. I was just looked it up. It says Psalms 74:14.
Okay.
As a multi-headed sea serpent that is killed by Yah and given as food to the Hebrews. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, but it's also, I think it's in another book as well.
It looks like it's in Isaiah 27:1 and Job 41 is the other ones that it quotes.
Right, for Ema Vicky, what she had, as Isaiah 27, what you had, Sharma was in Psalms. But it could be in other places too.
Yeah, I know I've read it in several places. And y'all, I just can't remember. I remember when I first saw my big real mountain, I almost fainted. I can't imagine what I see an actual animal as huge as what I so yeah.
Well, if somebody else, or if you want to continue on at Ema at 12.
Oh, okay. Where do I need all of Genesis 6. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Verse 12. I think I'm starting at verse 12. And Elohim saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. And Elohim said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you are to make it. The length of the ark, 300 cubits. Its breadth, 50 cubits. And its height, 30 cubits. Make a roof for the ark and finish it to a cubit above, and set the door of the ark of it in its side. Make it lower second and third decks. And behold, I will bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, in which is the breath of life under heaven. Everything that is on the earth shall die. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh, you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female.
All right, Emma, can you pause right there? So now we know back in Genesis, back when Most High was creating everything, he said what? 1 man, 1 woman. And even when he's doing the reset, he's putting the earth through the wash, spin, and dry cycle. One man or 1 male, 1 female. Now that's twice that I've seen that represented, that for relationships, long term, 1 man, 1 woman. Now we know eventually when we get to the 12 tribes, there are extenuating circumstances where, there's a little bit more genetic variation. But as we'll read when we get to that point, is that Sarah was supposed to bear everybody. But, in Yahuwah's mercy, he's like, okay, we're going to have what we come to know today. But that's interesting. Even the 2 times that Yahuwah has, the first time when he started the earth, and then the second time when he's doing a refresh of it, he still says 1 man, 1 woman. Because it alleviates a lot of confusion on down in the bloodline if you keep it that way. But you can go ahead and pick right back up, Ema, at 20. And
Okay. Of the birds according to their kinds, and of the animals according to their kind, of every creeping thing of the ground, according to its kind, 2 of every sort shall come in to you to keep them alive. Also take with you every sort of food that is eaten and store it up. It shall serve as food for you and for them. Noah did this. He did all that Elohim commanded him.
Oh. Thank you, Ema. And on to the next question. What was the exact day the flood began during Noah's life? So now the answer is not going to be according to, a Greco-Roman calendar. We're going to I'm looking for the answer that the Bible gives. And we're going to use, for this particular question, Noah's lifespan. It's in there, and it's a lesser known one that I didn't even know until I reread this or realized. But yes, like the Most High even has appointed times of destruction and rebirth. So who wants to get? Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying he was 600 years old.
Correct. And who wants to read Genesis 7, 1 through 11?
I get it.
Go right ahead, Al.
Genesis 7, chapter 7, 1 through 11. And the master said unto Noah, come down, and all thy house in the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by 7s, the male and his female, and of the beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. Of fowls also of the air by 7, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth. For yet 7 days I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And Noah did according unto all that the master commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of the waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons, his wife's sons, the wives with him, into the ark, because of the waters of the flood. Of clean beasts, and of the beasts that are not clean, and of fowls, and of everything that creepeth upon the earth. There went in two unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as the Elohim had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open.
There you go. So, according to verse 11, on the 17th of the second month during Noah's 600th year of life is when, the waters rushed in. And then you can see, even in modern day today, evidence of that scripture. When you look up and into the heaven, the first heaven, and when you look below. The first example is what we would call in modern science that string of angels, because we know that stars aren't balls of gas, they're angels. And that string of heavily dotted lights there, that is one of the main entry points from when the Most High broke the firmament and allowed the waters above to rush in. Because the reason those angels are packed where they are is because they're holding the waters back. And then the second evidence of fountains of the great deep being open is the Marianas Trench. Because even though they say they found the bottom, they said that there's even more past the point of what they recorded beyond whatever they say the official recording depth is of the Marianas Trench. So that's another entry point. And the reason you have that deep rift in the Pacific in the first place is because it was ripped open to allow the waters to come in. So those are just some scientific evidences of what scripture talked about in verse 11. Go ahead.
I was just thinking about when I was stationed overseas, would it be considered like I just had the name, the monsoon? Would it come in like a monsoon? Because I remember seeing that and experiencing it.
Monsoons, they are like sudden swells of water, right? That come from the clouds, like sudden rainstorms. So, I mean, that makes sense. Because, if maybe Yahuwah's saying we need to release a pressure valve and has a sudden surge come up from somewhere in the Pacific, that can send more moisture into the air, which can cause, heavier clouds, which send heavy rain. So that makes sense. And then we know that according to what we read in Genesis during creation, that there's water above, and and the water always travels the path of least resistance. So when he opened up the firmament, it made it easy just to continue to fill the earth to a point where only Noah was left.
I believe that there are actual gates. And this is just me personally. When I read this, I see it says gates, but there's something, there are several points on the firmament that Yahuwah opened at that time. I don't think it was like rain. He caused it to rain, and when he says he opens the gates, and the floodgates. It's like a dam.
Yeah,
You
you're
know, the
right.
floodgates, there's no trickling out when you open the floodgates.
It's an immediate rush of water. It's not like, yeah, it's not gonna be.
Yeah.
You're hit by a wall of water. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the depths. There are many places that they have discovered could be considered from the deep, the water that springs up. If those things are open, then we the water would also come from below because it's water below us. And I don't know how many of y'all have ever read about this or heard about this. I remember reading, you know, and I'm inclined to believe this because I don't think people just make this stuff up. Because we make up stories for our children, but some of the stuff I just cannot believe actually come from the mind of men that would be made up. When this one guy who was on a special mission for the U.S. Navy, they were on a special mission on a submarine, and they actually, this one guy said they actually were under continents in the water.
Oh wow, yeah, I've heard that story too. Like
Yeah.
the guy said they were on duty, like, or I guess what's the term? They were downrange. He said, "Oh, where you at?" He said Arizona in a submarine. I'm like, what?
Under, yes.
Yeah.
And I've also heard that the continent of Africa, I've read that too, is the only continent that does not float. Now these are things that I've read, and you know what? When I read stuff, I kind of just read it, and I open my mind to possibilities. But when there's so many confirmations, it's not. I not only read it once, I've read it or I've heard it more than once. So I'm inclined to believe that people don't just make this stuff up, especially when everybody don't make up the same story.
Yeah, that never met. Yeah.
But yeah, I've read that so much and heard that so much that Africa is the only continent that does not float. All the other continents float. And if you heard about Pangea, where all the continents were together,
they all separate from Africa. Yeah.
Right.
And then something happened where these continents separated, or these masses of land separated into what they now call the continents.
Absolutely.
North America.
You're right. You're
So
right, Ima, because it's in the Bible. And if we look at the landmass itself, they all fit together perfectly.
They do.
And not only that, some of the animals, if you go to archaeology or if you even go to, history, some of the animals that are on one continent, you can see some of them on another continent because when it was split, those animals, came over on different continents, and they're the same. Some things that are not indigenous to region, they wonder, well, how did this animal come to be? You know what I mean? So you're right.
And the Most High doesn't tell us everything, but he does give us insight into things that and I just I just believe that that what these people were reporting is true because of what, like Sharman says, what's in the Bible, and the number of reports. Everybody doesn't tell the same lie from different sources. That so I always say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And
was it just an instance to where I think Ima, or not think but I think that the powers that shouldn't be confirming is I think most of us have seen that movie 2012,
Oh, yes, that was
where
very,
the
yeah,
earth is, going through calamity, but they don't really show Africa going through nothing because it's a solid foundation.
but it
And
was
then at the
withstanding.
end, everybody is forced to go to Africa anyway because all the other continents have been split and broken up. That's probably just confirmation of what they already know is going to
They
happen
already know, right.
or had happened in the past.
That's why I say that I believe with all my heart that there's more books than we know about, because they're getting this information from the fallen.
Yeah.
Because such information such as this and the things that these people have put in movies and books, I just can't believe that it comes out of the mind of a
normal human, yeah.
Yeah, they're not that creative at all.
They're not that smart. They're not. So they have to be getting this information from somewhere.
What was it? I had at my previous job, I had a guy, he was submarines. I was like, dang, submarines? He's like, yes. I was like, you know how people in the Air Force or Navy talk about, what it's like to be a fighter pilot. I was like, you won't hear nothing. He's like, you won't hear nothing about what we do in the submarine. Nothing. Like it's harder to become like a submarine sailor than it is to become a fighter pilot. And he said, the stuff I know, I can't tell you for another 25 years. I was like, dang, man. I wish I'd have kept his number. So he eventually tell me some stories, but
Wow.
But yeah, so there you go. Like just subtle little mysteries in scripture that is glossed over normally in churches about, how this earth was formed. Because somehow people in church go from saying they believe that the earth was created by Elohim just from him speaking it to like a Big Bang theory and, some people come from apes and all that,
Yeah, we're
which
spending at 1,000 miles an hour, but nobody feels it.
yeah. And that's why I wanted to do, just this line by line series, is because there's a lot of stuff in here that people just don't know. And then, because it's glossed over by the church. They go from the earth was created in a heavenly week, not an earthly week, but a heavenly week, to bam, tithe and offering. There's a whole lot in between there. And even then, with tithe and offering, according to scripture, there's only 3 times a year you're required to do it. So, but on to the next thing. Now, how long did it take for the waters to begin to recede? If somebody knows, they can go ahead and read a little bit ahead and give me the answer. And if they don't know, I know. What about Ami and Aaron? Robert, I know they there, unless they sleep.
They don't know. They listening. They don't know.
Let's go ahead. Who wants to get 12 through 24 of Genesis 7?
I'll go ahead and get you, man.
All right.
All right. And it says, verse 12, and the rains was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Verse 13, in the self same day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, and the sons of Noah and Noah's wife, and 3 wives of his sons with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded, and that the Lord shut him in. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, and it was lift up above the earth, and there was waters, and the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went up upon the face of the waters, and the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered, and all the flesh died that moved upon the earth, both fowl and of cattle and of beasts, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, and all that was in the dry land had died, and every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle and creeping thing, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days.
So that's interesting because when I was a kid, you're told this as as a good children's story. And it's like, okay, it rained 40 days, it rained 40 nights, and then as soon as that stopped, you think land was available. It's like, no. So they were at sea for, was it over? So they're at sea for 3.5 months, 150 days, 3.5 months before they could actually touch land again. So that's just very interesting.
And another thing, if you go back to verse 20, it says the waters prevailed above the mountains, covering them 15 cubits deep. Now I'm not sure exactly what cubit is, but think of the highest mountain you can think of.
And it's still above that, yeah. Because what they say, so a 747 airliner, giant plane, it's 4 engines. That flies at an altitude of 30 to 32,000, 35,000 feet. Mount Everest is 8 miles. A mile is roughly 5,000 feet and some change. So, 8 times 5 is, 8 times 7 is 35. So 8 times 5 is 40. 42? No, it's 40. 8 times 5 is 40. So that's 40,000 miles. And then if Everest was, they say Everest grows like maybe a few inches every year because, the plates running up against each other. So let's say it wasn't as tall as it was now, but even still, that's still pretty tall because it's still probably the tallest thing in known existence that's not a building. The water was still way above that. And then if you go to Kentucky, where they actually have, to the best of their ability anyway, it seems like a biblically correct replica of the ark. That's huge. Like I've seen pictures of it in Kentucky. I would like to, that'd be a cool trip for the Padah to go to once we get all the children to a point where, everybody can walk, and not, knows better not to run off, to go actually see that ark in Kentucky that was built by like a church or something. So that'd be pretty cool. But so let's say when the flood happened, Noah's sea level was like 50,000 feet. That's crazy. That means it was cold, because it gets cold when you're in like Colorado and Denver. It's cold there in the middle of the summer. You can see snow. So they're only a mile up, a little bit over a mile up in Denver. So imagine you're 40 miles up or 8 miles or so, 10 miles up, and you're at sea level. That's cold. They're in thin air.
Well, makes you wonder the way the Most High told him to build the ark, and he told him to pitch it outside and inside.
That's to keep in heat.
Yeah, insulation and waterproofing.
Because, like, think about it, we've all flown before. For the most part, most of us have flown. Even in like the smaller airliners, you fly at 30,000 feet, and if they don't have the heater running, it's cold, like really cold. So you're in a wooden ship, and you've got to set fires, and you better make sure your pitch was done correctly on the inside and outside, so you don't freeze to death.
Wow. The more, every time I revisit this, I see something different. I see something else that I miss, you know. Yeah.
I remember when I was in active duty Air Force, you know, I got to ride on a 130, and those are just little planes with, like, they get 4 engines, but there's barely any insulation. And then when you get at altitude, when you get at cruising altitude, if you ain't got your military gear, like your warm weather gear on, at least like a jacket, you're gonna be cold. So imagine a ship sailing like that for 3.5 months. Like, that's crazy. Now that you really think, you kind of get these scales in order, because they kind of just, you know, in church they kind of just gloss over it, like, oh, he's just, you know, he was sailing at sea level, at the current sea level of what things are now. You know, it was a tropical cruise during that time. It's like, no, you could die. If you didn't build that thing correctly, you could die easily.
Yeah.
They're basically in space. They were sailing in space.
Mm.
And
I'm like you, I'm amazed. Every time I read this, I see something that I didn't catch. And I'm amazed at how magnanimous this was. Like you said, it wasn't just you just sailing out on the sea. Well, this was something of proportions that we can't even imagine. And then 150 days.
Yep.
It's just like you
150
fill a
days.
bathtub with water. It'll take a little while for that bathtub, that water to drain out. It's not just gonna just whoop and it's gone. So just imagine it took 150 days for this water just to drain out.
and you also have to think that, you know, since we know about the windows, the portals in the firmament and below, that there were probably, once that rain stopped, there were probably huge whirlpools that had to be navigated around. So you wouldn't get sucked in, that were draining the water from the flood.
Wow.
So it was like, it was an adventure. It wasn't just like, you know, we just waiting, we just sitting here, calm seas. We just, I bet Noah was on the rudder, like, okay, and yelling at the front of the ship, like, what do you see? You know, whatever, however they did it, whether it be telepathically, they had some sort of wire and cup thing going. Like, what do you see at the, what do they call it? They call it the what, stern or the bow, or what do they call it at the front of the ship? What's the proper term for the front of a ship? Let me look it up.
The bow.
The bow. Like, what do you see at the bow? We got 2 giant whirlpools in front of us that's draining the water. You're gonna need to do a hard starboard turn. Okay.
You'd have to have some kind of faith in the Most High to not panic.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking about, you know, just the rain and the ship, the ark being picked up, that caused enough panic as it is. And then the constant rain and the water, and knowing that you know you're constantly rising, and then 150 days not seeing any land, you know, that tells us how much to not panic in a situation like that. You have to have faith in the Most High. You have to believe what His word said, what He said, the things that came out of His mouth. Because if you lose sight of that, you can't have a panic in your human state. Panic. Like, you know, old people used to say, I can't swallow that much water. You know. So
I want to say you can Google, anybody can do this. You can Google like cultures who have a great deluge
yeah.
history, and you'll find out. I forgot where exactly, but it's a bunch of them. It's a bunch of different cultures that can attest to some type of deluge that happened.
Yeah, huge flood, yeah. Especially in the Native American cultures. Like if you just, go to some here in Texas, go to like what do they call them? A reservation, talk to the Hopi, or I don't know what Indians are here in Texas. Ema Vicky might know. I know in Oklahoma we got Cherokee and Chickasaw and stuff like that. But just go talk to one of them tribes and learn a little bit about their history. They confirm the same thing.
And all ancient histories have depicted flat earth with the firmament and water above and below. All
Yep.
ancient civilizations depict that.
Everybody has a snow globe, yeah. It's very interesting. And then, they come out with space to indoctrinate people because it helps to make people feel hopeless. When people don't understand where they live, they feel like, well, there's no hope. And I'm just here at the behest of whatever or whoever, and I could go at any time. But let's see. How old was Noah when dry land reappeared? This is a good one. This is something I didn't even really stop to think about, because they always talk about the initial flood itself, the initial being at sea, and they immediately skip to, getting off the boat and rebuilding civilization. But does anybody have an idea? Because it's not too far from when he was 600 years old. There you go. It's in Genesis 8, 1 through 13. Let's see. Anybody want to get it? Like Danya, you want to get it, or anyone else?
Sure, let me get there.
If you don't have somebody, Tommy will go.
You gotta turn it down. Here you go, buddy.
All right.
Okay, I have it.
Genesis 8, verses 1 through 13.
Okay.
And Elohim remembered Noah and every living thing, and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. And the waters were turned from off the earth continually, and after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat, and the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro, until the waters were dried up from off the earth. Also he sent forth a dove from him, to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned unto him into the ark. For the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her in unto him into the ark. And he stayed yet other 7 days. And again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. Dove out of the ark. And the dove came in to him the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive tree plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And he stayed yet another 7 days and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him any more. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry.
Well, I tell you, if we didn't know, if we didn't see you, we think you way older. I'm gonna tell you that. His voice, huh?
Yeah.
That thing deep, ain't it?
Yeah.
I said, what?
Hey, that Florida air got to him.
I mean, got that boy in the waters of the deep. I was like, good night.
Yeah, he has some bass. He has some bass on
Yeah.
it. Only 13.
Yeah, that's usually when it happens. That was it. I remember when I was in middle school, like my first or second year, I think my second year, like 7th grade, one of the girls just stopped like, "Ori, talk." I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And they're like, "Hey," he's like, "Yeah, okay." So, but as you can see there, so it took from the point that the flood started and ended, it wasn't available. Not it wasn't available. Land wasn't available to resettle until a year. Even though the whole process of the flood only lasted 4 days, the actual water raining only was 40 days and nights. Then you had another 3.5 months just to let it drain, let the tub drain. You gotta let the tub drain. And then by the time the tub drains, you can finally, get out the shower and dry yourself off and start going about your day. So it took a whole year for that process. It wasn't as instant as I remember as a kid, or at least was told. And there was the Most High has everything in his due time. It might seem like a long time to us, but for him, that was like literally probably seconds, considering how 1,000 years is a day for him. And then let's see. Oh, now this is a very good one that is good to know, and just one in your ammo clip for. Now, I'm not saying you should be running around seeking debates, but this is a good thing to know in case you have Christians or other people of other faiths wanting to know why we keep the law, statutes, and commandments as illustrated in the Torah. So does anybody know what feast day was celebrated upon return to dry land? It's an easy one. Similar to when we left Egypt.
And we went over this too.
Yep. It's all about having it written on your heart.
Yeah, repetition.
This will get you 2 slushies and an ice cream sandwich if you know this.
Well, I'm going broke. Anyway, now I'm joking.
Would it be tabernacles then?
No.
Or well, I don't know then. I'm guessing, that's all.
Come on, let's see if one of the y'all can get it.
But honestly though, we're gonna give it to everybody.
Yeah.
On this one. Real talk.
It was, I'm gonna go ahead and give the answer. It was Pesach. Who wants to get 14 through 22? It was Pesach, the Passover, because Noah was passed over from judgment, unlike the rest of the world.
That was my second one.
I wasn't sure. I was thinking that was it, but I wasn't sure.
It was my second one.
This is Genesis 14, you said? No, 8:14.
This is chapter 8, verse 14. to 22. Yeah.
Okay. I'll read it if nobody else wants to read it. Genesis 8:14-22. In the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth had dried out. Then Elohim said to Noah, go out from the ark, you and your wife, and your sons' wives with you. Bring out with you every living thing that is with you of all flesh, birds and animals, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, that they may swarm on the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth. So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every bird, everything that moves on the earth went out by families from the ark. Then Noah built an altar to Yahuwah and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And when Yahuwah smelled the pleasing aroma, Yahuwah said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever again strike down every living creature as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease.
All right. So we'll make a slight correction because they're so close together. It wasn't Pesach, but first fruits. Because I was thinking that, but then I was also thinking, well, he got passed over for judgment because he remained perfect in all his generations. But it's actually, Amaziah helped me to confirm this, that it's actually first fruits. That's the feast day that was celebrated by Noah after he got off the ark. So,
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense because this would be like a first fruit of the living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I thought that when I initially read all the, but I was like, well, he was also passed over from judgment. But yeah. So yeah, go ahead. What were you? Somebody was gonna say something.
I think it may be the next one, but I love that. I love verse 22. Man, you talking about something to commit to memory.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one, and 21 really the 22, but 21 is kind of lengthy. You know what I mean? But to remember that, hey, that the Most High made like it's a covenant, right? While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. And all praise to the Most High for that.
That no matter how bad we mess up, he's like, look, I'm still gonna keep this clock going. So
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And now we are to the final question. Or is it why are the animals naturally inclined to flee from humans? And it's in, I'll give you a hint. It's in chapter 9, 1-17.
Can we take an educated guess?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Is it because man has dominion over them?
Correct. Yahuwah gave that dominion once Noah and them got off the ark, so that they would have an easier time procreating. And wouldn't have to worry about being picked off by animals, because that was a huge concern before the flood. Like that was a very, very huge concern. You didn't only have the fallen angels to contend with, which is why on Ishmael's side of the family tree, from Hagar, why they covered their women, because if their women were looking really good, a fallen angel would come scoop her right up. That's why they get the Hajibs from. But, and also, like I said, with before the flood, humans were a delicacy for animals and Nephilim alike. You know, the corrupted ones, not the ones that Yahuwah made, but the corrupted ones.
And so, so I'm always thinking, every time you say something, something pops up in my mind. So that's why you often think about the book, The Delectable Negro.
Yep.
And all the reports of, you know, humans being served up, even to this day. You wonder who these people are that are so fond of human especially fond of
ours. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we look good, and apparently we taste good, at least to a certain people.
Just wonder, you know, it's just too many coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences anymore, because the whole world, the whole cosmos operates on not coincidence, but on purpose.
Yeah, cannibalism is it's a thing around the world. You know, that's I'm pretty sure everybody seen it here and there. Some of these remote, you know, cultures or whatnot that might be into it. Some even out of off the continent. But you know, like I said, that's not something that we should be doing, right? That our lineage and our line should definitely know better not to deal with.
The reports now just not remote areas, but Hollywood.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I'm talking about them folks, and then also it's also around the world. You know what I mean?
World.
Yeah.
So much so, not Messiah, but Moses had to write a book in Leviticus, like I said, hey guys, don't do these things. Like seriously.
Mhm.
And eating each other was one of them.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate. We you know, there was some curses that came about, had us doing it, but yeah, we shouldn't be doing that.
Oh.
That's crazy though. I mean, you know, that's only the influence of a demonic spirit, because I would never naturally think I want to eat anyone, no matter if I did or didn't like them. Like, nah, man, you know, I wonder what Greg tastes like. Like, no.
Well, you know, you often think about the times of lynching, when lynching, and the reports of people taking body parts. And not only were they lynched, that the burning the body had a significance. He was like, what do you want with that burnt toe?
Yeah. We
It's
talking
like,
about modern times, essentially in history. That they doing now. Yes. Wholehearted, like this is wild, you guys. Like that to me, with some of the history that we dealt with in this country, it's crazy.
right. If I want to kill somebody, I mean, I'm just, you know, I'm that mad at somebody, I want to kill him. I'm just going to kill him. I'm going to shoot him, stab him, blow him up, whatever. But I'm not going to take no body part.
Yeah,
Right.
that's good.
That's crazy.
And I know this is, you know, some people may be like, but I'm like, we're talking about, y'all, we're talking about, let's just say it was common just 120 years ago. Or something
Yeah,
like
like
that.
it's
So
still
we're
in the
talking about,
1900s.
yeah, we're talking about y'all's great grandfather. The
Yeah.
norm to go to a store and see a ninja's toe. Y'all know what I'm talking about. See all
Yeah.
kind of stuff. You know what I'm
Or
saying? Souvenirs.
big thing was, I don't know if it, I know in the South it was done, like the genitalia. They would big
I mean,
thing.
just utterly, you know, this is what we're dealing with, the seed of that only 1 or 2 generations now. That like you know
Right. Those people are not, those people may be gone from the body, but the spirit that was in them is still with their descendants today.
Yeah.
Especially talking about epigenetics, right? We already know the deal.
It's still with them.
to where they might look at you and then lick their lips. And you don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
This is you know what I'm saying. I'd be like, and I know it sounds like, but I'll be like, nah, man. The way they look at you, the way we live in areas where you can go into a store, right? I talked about this with Isha. We go into a store, you like the only person in there, right? And that alienation that you feel is like none other, because people looking at you like a hawk,
Like a
and you
hawk.
don't know, like a hawk. You don't know what's going on through their mind. What she's gonna say?
Like a hawk looking at a chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And they're like, like their children look at us in amazement, like, wow. But the adults, you don't know what's going through their head. You don't know what they hope, if they're really, really young, like, 5 and below, most of the time the children are just looking at us because they're like, whoa, like it's such a pretty color type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
in amazement until they get taught how to think.
And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I've experienced this. Like out of the blue, I'm minding my own Black business. And somebody will come up to me. Now, I've had women come up to me and say, oh, you have such a beautiful smile. You look so good. I'm like, out of the blue. I'm like, where did you come from? I'm looking around like, I didn't see you a while ago.
Jack the Ripper coming from the shadows.
Yeah, and I've even had, especially older men from that, and they get close to you and they say that what they're saying is nice, but you don't feel
that
it's like like get back, fool.
Yeah, back up a little bit.
Get back. You don't know me like that.
It's almost as if they get close up on you so they can smell you or something.
Yep. For those who have
Have you
long hair,
experienced it?
absolutely. For those who had long hair, I'm pretty sure them folks that came up and touched my hair and all of that. Mikai, when he was small in the store, people tried to run up. Lydia had to be like, nah, back up. Like I'm talking about this stuff happens.
Really?
Yes, I've experienced that. It's weird. It's like, what, out of the blue, why you just, I've seen, like I've been in a grocery store and I've seen somebody like 20, 30 feet away from me make a beeline for me and get right close up on it. At least they have to smell me. I'm like, what the heck? Get back.
They feel like they have right to your being. I'm not, y'all. This is for those who have never heard these stories, this is a real thing. This happens in our daily lives. So,
and most of us don't understand it. But because we think, oh, they just being nice. But if you really slow down your perception, just put your little spidey senses on.
They feel like they have right to your
body. It don't feel right.
Right.
And most of the time, little children can feel it.
Yep.
And I remember as a little child, because when I grew up, I wasn't around white folks like that. Most of my immediate circle were Black folks, Israelites. But I remember as a child being very standoffish, and I did not like being those people coming too close to me. And this is as a child. But our children now are raised amongst them so that we become comfortable. But I remember a lot of Israelite babies would just scream to high heaven when those people would pick them up. Really? It was like, get me away, it's like screaming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is what I saw as a child growing up. Even my grandmother and my mother would talk about how my mother, when she was little, how she was so afraid to go to this woman's house. And the woman was nice. She said the woman was nice, but I was just afraid of that woman. And I think as a child, you have more your spidey senses, or your senses have not been
Yeah.
dulled. Yes. And she said a lot of times the lady would want her to spend the night with her, and because she lived by herself. So my mother said that her mother told her, and I mean, she wasn't a little bitty child, you know, she was maybe like 12, 10, 11, 12, something like that, that she could go spend the night with her. My mother said she got up in the middle of the night and left that house and walked home in the dark. That's how afraid of this woman she was.
When the dark is more safe.
Yeah. now, mind you, this is in the country, in the
Oh
woods.
my goodness, that's even worse.
She had a straight get out moment.
There's some demons out there in the woods. I'll deal with them demons in the woods.
Yes. She chose that rather than staying.
She had that get out moment. She listened. It was probably a spirit was like, get out. And she was like, okay, you ain't got to say nothing else. But, he wasn't like the stubborn brew in the movie that stayed around.
Yeah.
And then was surprised, like, oh, I haven't seen it, but I've seen people say, like, the white girl says, oh, honey, you didn't know, or something like that. When he's in a trance, they're like, nah, like that little black girl was like, nope. I'm gonna get on the good foot, like James Brown.
She walked through the woods, I'm telling you, at night, in the middle of the night. It wasn't no dusk dark. So, I mean, I've experienced that feeling from having been approached by people. It just the approach just seemed inappropriate, So, whew, that mercy.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and just finish off these last 17 verses in chapter 9, and then after that we can, just, chum around for a little bit. I know some of you guys probably want to get back to sleep and stuff, but here we go. Chapter 9, 1 through 17. Oh, got a burp thing. Oh, excuse me, drank a little bit too much water. And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, and upon all that moves upon the earth, and upon all fish of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it. And at the hand of man, and at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim made he man. And you, be ye fruitful and multiply. Bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. And Elohim spoke unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, and I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. and I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And Elohim said, this is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the clouds, and it shall be for a sign of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And Elohim said unto Noah, this is the sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all the flesh that is upon the earth. So for those that don't know, and that may not have had a Bible in front of them as this is being read, the bow is talking about the rainbow. So that is probably what most people don't realize, the most terrifying symbol in the universe. You know, even though we got people that are trying to hijack it.
Yeah, them folks trying to co-opt it, but whatever.
We got the alphabet groups trying to hijack it, but all that means is they're painted targets. That's like infrared. You just painted infrared paint on you. It makes it easier for you to find. So if you think you're playing a game with what Yahuwah created, he'll let you know soon enough. And he has throughout history for those that like to partake in that lifestyle, that it only begets disease and death.
Right.
And eventually eternal fire. So, I'd say if you like the rainbow, that's cool. The Yahuwah likes it too, otherwise he wouldn't have created it. But don't misuse it.
And
go ahead, Im.
I was just saying, back in the day, and I'm saying this because I'm the eldest one among you guys. Plus, I had access to people who were my age and older when I was little. So it's like I have some of like 3 or 4 generations of testimony. And I learned this before I could even read the Bible, that the rainbow, when people would see the rainbow, I would hear old people say, it won't be water but fire next time. So I learned what the rainbow meant. And like you said, people are trying to hijack that. So people won't remember, because some people don't read the Bible, but people knew what the rainbow meant. It was a sign. And it also was a sign of peace for a while, but also a sign of the coming destruction. And that's why people would always say, I heard old people always say this, yeah, there's a rainbow. It won't be water this time, but it's going to be fire. And they were talking about the end of time. And so the world is being like conditioned not to think of that time.
Yep. And you're correct, because the full scope of a rainbow it's a bullseye. It's a circle. So there are people who are using it in, mistreating it in the wrong manner, that's not according to scripture, they're literally lining themselves up like ducks, like in a duck hunt.
You're signing your own death warrant.
Yep. It's a literal bullseye, and people are just playing around with it. It's like running around at the gun range in front of the paper targets. Like what are you doing? But if that is all, if you don't have any more insights from anybody, we'll go ahead and move on to the our closing. Let's see if the Yaladim can get it. But this is what, the fifth week of the exam that's been open book.
Mhm.
Let's see if like Robert, you want to see if Aaron can get it?
Aaron apologizes. He's like, no.
Okay. Anybody else? King, or not King, Texas, Mac.
Mac is in the restroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up?
See if you can get Ecclesiastes 12, 13 through 14. I know you got it.
Okay. For
He pulling it up in his Bible app right now.
every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
All right, say it one more time from the beginning. Let us hear the what?
All right. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear
And then,
Elohim and
yep,
God
there you go. Keep
for
going.
this is the whole duty of man. You want me to keep going or no?
Yeah, then what's that? Blank shall what?
Okay. For Yahuwah shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Correct.
I think I could get the last part.
And oh yeah, go ahead.
All right. Here's the patience of the Kodoshim. Here are they that guard the commandments of Yahuwah and the belief of Yeshua.
Give that man 2 slushies and have him double fist. He probably they gonna melt. Well, one's gonna melt though if you take too long to drink it. But
Yeah.
or a slushie and a burger or something. I don't know.
Let's see a burger. I could go for a burger right now, actually.
But we got it. So I'll say it both together. I guess we can try to say it together if you want to, or just read to yourself. But here we go. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim and guard his commandments, for this the whole duty of man. For Elohim shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. And here is the patience of the Kodashim. Here are they that guard the commandments of Yahuwah and the belief of Yahusha. And thank you for listening to this lesson. Any newcomers, haters, or haters, whichever. If you desire for some fellowship and you're in this local San Antonio area, don't hesitate to get in contact with us, and we can reach out to you and then properly vet you. We can't just let everybody in, not because we think we high and mighty, but Yahuwah teaches us also to be on guard. There are a lot of people who look like us that aren't our friends, and there are people that might not look like us that could probably be the greatest assets to us that we've ever seen or known. But thank you again for just watching this video of the assembly, and hopefully this was a pleasant aroma to Yahuwah Elohim for the word that was given. And shalom, everybody.